One. All right, guys. So we're gonna play a game of Chess Heroes for you on a physical board right now, which is actually something you could do, on your own once we release the rules, and we'll talk about that in the Discord. But this is an organic game. Like, neither of us know what's about to happen. It could be a good game. It could be a horrible game. The way we're doing it is we're tracking each other's powers on a tablet here that we can write on, and then we're gonna have our friend put the moves on the screen so that you guys can see our position on the board more clearly than you can from that shot. So the way this works is we've already flipped a coin for who's white and who's black, and from there, black drafts first. I get to draft either one queen power or two minor piece powers, so non-queen powers.
But first we need to check our hero powers,
That's
right?
true. We need hero powers first. Yeah, okay. So
yeah, while Paul's picking his hero power, I'll just explain that for the default rules of Chess Heroes, and we've got some variants in mind, so keep an eye out for those. But default rules involve picking 4 non-hero or non-king powers. So all but one of your pieces is going to have a power. And we'll be following a snake draft that you'll see in a couple seconds.
okay.
And
So
we've got that all planned out.
I picked the hero power that is... Also, you actually pick your hero power before entering the game, but we didn't do that. Okay, so I picked the hero power that I can sacrifice... It takes up a turn. I can sacrifice my left and rightmost pawns at some point in the game, and that will let me use one of my minor piece powers an additional time.
Yeah, so and if you watched our other video, we mentioned that you can't pick the same powers as your opponent. That applies to non-king powers because 2 people could enter the game with the same king power activated. So Paul picked the sacrifice 2 pawns to give another power another use, but I'm going to choose a different one just for, variety's sake, and do the king can move 1 to 2 spaces in any direction.
It's so good. All right, so now the drafting begins. Now, I know, because I've played this guy a lot, that he really likes to pair that hero power with the once per game, each rook can swap places with the king. So I'm going to draft 2 minor piece powers, and I'm going to draft that power first, because I don't want Eli to have that one, because it combos really well with his hero power. So I'm going to take that one. And then for my second pick, I'm a huge fan of the double knight jump. It's once per game, each knight can make 2 legal moves in a row. The caveat to that is it can't capture and then move back. So it has to jump to an empty square, and then it can do another jump and potentially capture a piece or deliver a check or something like that. So I'm going to take that one as well. And let me mark this for you before passing it back. I did the wrong one too.
Yeah. So while Paul's doing that, one thing that you can start to think about, when you're drafting powers against your opponent is, okay, I've got 2 picks right now, and Paul already picked a rook and a knight power, and he can't pick another one, which means I'm in no rush to pick powers for either of those pieces. I can look at other pieces. I mean, just basic, I guess, game theory type thing, but it will get more intense.
So he wants to try and take the best queen power and maybe the best pawn or bishop power at this point, because I can't get another knight or another rook power.
Well, I guess speaking of those powers, pawn and whatnot, I really like the twice a game a pawn can capture an enemy piece directly in front of it. That's what I like to call the steamroller pawn.
That power is so good.
And then, let's see, yeah, queen. Well, I think I'm going to go with the queen nuke. Once a game, the queen can move to a square and destroy all pieces around where it went, including itself.
All squares adjacent to the queen square. It's a move and then explode. But you can't capture on the move. So you have to move to an empty square and then detonate.
Right. Just make sure those are indicated, and you are good to go.
I think there's actually a chess variant, I forget who made it, where all the pieces have that property where whenever they capture, they explode.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not as nuanced as like what we're trying to
I
build,
think
but
it's atomic chess.
but it's pretty funny.
Atomic
It's pretty
chess,
funny. Okay. Yeah. So So now we do 1-1.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've watched some videos of the atomic chess. I think you win the game by capturing the king. And I'll actually take this moment to mention, because that reminds me, that in Chess Heroes, kings or heroes are unaffected by other piece powers.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, let's say that my pawn is on a square directly with his king in front of it. You might think, oh, well, because my pawn can move one square directly in front of it, his king's in check if it's right in front of my pawn. But that's not the case. That would really, as far as we can tell, make the game not work. And so...
so powers don't deliver check or checkmate.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's... I'm not so sure about checkmate, but, we'll have to... more playtesting to do, and that's why we need people like you playing this game early on.
By you mean them?
Yes, I absolutely. But also you. I mean.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what did you just pick, Paul?
I picked a pawn power. The pawn can move diagonally without capturing.
Okay. Cool.
How many times is that? Twice per game or something?
That is actually each pawn can do it once.
Each pawn can do it once. Okay. Cool.
All right. I guess I will do the... I'm going to do, if both bishops can get on adjacent squares, on the central 16 squares, they can transform into a queen.
Okay. That's this box. All right. I think... Do we have 4 each? No, I do one more, and then we're done. Yeah. Or do we each do one more?
We each have one more.
We each do one more. Okay.
We should just end with 5 out of our 6 pieces having powers.
So I'm going to do a sacrificial bishop. It's one of my favorite powers. Each bishop can sacrifice itself and blow up everything on a diagonal, but that includes your own pieces. So you have to try and position the bishop so that you're not blowing up one of your rooks or something. All right, pick your power and then the game starts. So the way the rules work in the app when we build it is that the drafting sequence will count as turns, and you'll have 1 minute to draft each power consecutively, and then the turns are 1 minute each. This is our standard mode. We want to do a whole bunch of variants and rules with additional powers or stealing powers, stuff like that. But we've defined what we think is like the core version of the game for the release, for the initial release, and that's 1 minute turns with snake power drafting. So we're not running a clock right now, but we're going to make our turns as close to a minute or less as possible. Are you ready? Because pieces are about to start flying around everywhere.
Yeah, and I'll just mention I chose the power I like to call the King's Knight. The knight's able to move to an adjacent square, make a king's move.
Yeah.
Each knight can do it once a game. And I just want to make sure we're on the same page about this. Can that knight make a capture with that adjacent move, or can it not?
Did we play test? We play tested with it capturing it. It was fine.
Okay, so that can be a capture.
Yeah.
Has some potential for some nasty.
Because each knight can only do it once.
Situations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm white, so I go first.
All right.
That's my test.
Let's put this on the floor between us, just so we can both look at each other's powers, in case I need a reminder. All right. Should I just go use a power immediately and do a
I don't know. Are you trying to win or just showcase? Because
I'm trying to showcase. Yeah. So I'm gonna use my rook power. Each rook can do it once, but I'm gonna use it for my what is that? The H file. Yeah. I'm gonna swap. I'm gonna castle without castling. First move.
Oh my god! And your rook's on the same file as my king right now.
So on the black, yeah, you're gonna swap the rook and the king. Exactly.
Okay. Well.
That's a cool power.
Thank you. We tried to come up with cool powers. We have some people in the room who are also seeing this game for the first time. All right. Now I can go with my typical opening, right?
Yeah, this is our new theory on the Sicilian.
Just
get your king to the corner of the board and then play it.
And then play the game.
The tempo loss is worthwhile.
You know what's funny is the fianchetto on your dark square bishop would actually be disgusting now. Because my king is already cornered in that square. Alright. Alright. First capture. What's your bishop power actually? I'm kind of nervous now. Oh, you can turn your bishops into a queen. Okay.
I got too excited about my own plan. Man. Yeah, I mean, just as in regular chess, you know, if you think too much about what you can do and not about what your opponent can do, you can get into real trouble.
You can do a lot here.
Yeah, well, let me just think. I don't want to take too long. But
I have more showcase moves planned, so you gotta find a good way out of this. Okay. I mean, the obvious thing is to take the knight, but I'm going to do a double hop knight to take it. Showcase. Boom.
I think that was a good move.
Thank you. Yeah. So I took with that knight, and that knight hopped there. Yep, and then it hopped to capture. Now the reason I could do that, so that used one of my 2 uses of that power, and I can only do that because this square was open. If that square were covered in some way, I wouldn't be able to hop through that square. Okay. I'm gonna capture. Well. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna keep the game interesting. Again, I feel like I should just save the knight, but because we're trying to showcase these powers here, I'm gonna try and keep things interesting. I'm gonna take the pawn with the rook. You know what's funny is I didn't even draft a queen power.
You did not.
I don't think I need one. Though the teleporting queen's kind of nice. Take the pawn. Keep it. You can't. Check.
Oh, that is poor chess
I still have a pawn here.
knowledge right there. My bad.
The camera's just making you nervous, right?
Yeah. Also, like, I have a tendency to take way too long when I play, so I'm trying to play fast and apparently play terribly. All right.
I mean, you're only down 2 pawns, but that bishop is looking pretty. That bishop's in dire straits.
It is a bad situation, isn't it?
You know what's funny is all the times we've played, I've never done that where like turn 1 I swap my king and rook.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really good.
Yeah,
it's actually.
I need
really
to figure
good.
out a plan. I mean, I'm in a bad situation right now. All right, let's just.
Okay. I like the attention to detail, getting the pieces right in the middle of the square.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm going to. Lift this pawn.
I want to lift that pawn, and I have no understanding of what you're trying to do, and it frightens me. What is this man trying to do?
So Eli's looking at my powers on the other side of the board right now. That's why he's crouched over the over the edge of the table. So we have them written down.
What?
Hey, maybe I just blundered.
Oh. Get out of here. I'm very confused. Okay. Well, I feel like you can't be giving me your rook for free without doing something evil afterwards. So you know what? I'm just gonna do something you probably weren't expecting. Queen Nuke.
Nice.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom.
Well done. Well done. I was not expecting that. So, you get rid of that queen. Exactly. Queen goes there. He nukes. So all the adjacent pieces are gone. What I was planning, by the way, I can tell you now, because you did that, was I still have a double knight jump. So if you had, in fact, my rook was protected, even though it didn't look protected. And that's such like part of calculating chess heroes is when you get used to the powers, they're not that hard to calculate, but you always have to keep them in the back of your mind. And because you draft different powers every game, you have to learn to calculate a lot of different powers depending on what game you're playing and who you're playing. So I think it's a lot of fun to add that extra twist. So now I think I can appropriately take that bishop. Your pawns can steamroll, right? That's one of your powers.
Indeed.
So I want to make sure I don't have my rook sitting in front of a pawn. Speaking of planning for powers. All right. So I just want to capture. Wait, but then your king can move twice.
You want a white pawn there?
Yeah. Yep.
Nope.
No.
You want this pawn.
It's this one. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
No, it's fine. We're good. All that matters is that people get to see the position clearly. Okay. So your king can also move 2 spaces. So that's another thing I have to watch out for. So if I were to actually take that pawn, he would be able to sidestep. I'll point here. So if I were to take this pawn, you can't use the double jump through check. So he wouldn't be able to jump forward and hit me, but he could jump to the side out of check and then jump in and take it. So.
So one of the things is like, if we were to have an evaluation for this position, which I have to think we're a bit of a ways away from
An AI that could evaluate this position.
but I would say like material may be somewhat equal,
It's roughly equal.
But the thing is, you've got more actual powers available. Like if you
I
think
still have
about
more
it,
powers available.
this rook can do its power
Can still
again.
swap
This
king.
bishop
And both,
can.
yep.
Both can. My bishop is its power is useless without the other bishop.
Yep.
So I got too excited about.
Did you draft a knight power?
Yeah.
Oh, your knight can move laterally.
But like
Right,
my
right.
rooks don't have a power. I really only have
All right.
less powers available to me than you do.
So I'm gonna put you in check. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I don't think that works because you could just take it laterally afterwards. So I think I'm just gonna protect the rook. To hop it back. All right. You ready for this filth?
No. Yikes.
Can you show them how I did that there? So I used my other double knight jump. So I jumped, yep, exactly. I jumped there, and then I jumped for the capture. So while that pawn looked like it was hanging, it was actually protected by the double knight jump. But now that I've used that power, I can't use it again. So that knight is now just a standard knight.
Don't forget my king power, guys.
Dude, your king power is filthy.
This one.
One over to the left. Yep, exactly. Okay. Dude, you're just gonna start coming at me with your king. And the funny thing is how scared I am of that.
That's some mobility. You don't think about it.
I know.
I sometimes get surprised about like in an end game how far, like how quickly a king
Yeah.
can get across the board when it feels like it shouldn't. It should take a long time.
And when the king can move 2 spaces, it takes what, 4 turns? Not even. Kind of 3 turns, 3.5 turns for the king to get across the board. We're going to throw a check.
Should actually calculate, not just play moves. It's not blitz.
Well, you're only supposed to have a minute. But yeah, you do have a whole minute. That's a decent amount of time. The funny thing is now, after all that, we have a position that looks more or less like a typical
Yeah.
game.
Although, yeah, I think a bit ahead in material.
All right. Mm.
Steamroll.
Yep. All right.
But I might have just put myself in trouble.
Wait, where'd you move?
He steamrolled my pawn here.
Oh.
So he moved. So you can take out the black pawn and then move the white pawn one piece forward. So now that pawn can't steamroll again, or is it? Oh, the brightness just went up. I hope that doesn't mess with our shot. Does it look okay? It's okay. All right, cool. All right. Yeah. So that was a steamroll power, and that's twice per game power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that pawn could still steamroll one more time, or a different pawn could. All right. I'm going to put you in check, though. I really have to be careful with your double moving king that I'm always that all my pieces are always protecting each other, because it's super precarious. But fortunately, all these pieces are protecting each other. It's a bit of a hike to get to my hanging rook.
Yeah, my king cannot move through check.
No.
I could get checkmated if I... That's for sure.
That's always a risk. This is a tough position. Alright, I'm gonna move this pawn diagonally. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that. That doesn't do anything for me.
Going hard on the showcase.
I know. I want to use all my powers. Alright, I'm just gonna hop it. Did it stop?
It stopped.
How long ago did it stop? Do you know?
Not long ago because I just checked it, but it's
Okay, cool.
up and running again now.
All right, cool. We had the camera stop, so I don't know if you guys missed any moves, but we're back on track. This is the position we're in. We'll keep it running.
Completely equal.
Completely equal. Except I still have...
I've got one steamroll.
No, we're not equal because I have a rook. Oh no, we both have rooks. I have a bishop power still.
And I've got a potential pawn power.
Yep.
Well, let's get active.
I have to be extremely judicious to make sure I don't leave any pieces within capturing range of your king. TV can't decide how bright it wants to be. Check.
In case you're wondering, my king does not put his king in check by being 2 moves away.
Correct.
I guess
Because you can't move your king into check or through
Exactly.
check. So if you were to step there, you would be in check.
This isn't a great move, actually. I know I've already tried, almost made it. Alright, let's just go with...
How long have we been playing for?
I will say 35, almost 40.
Alright.
Because I think the camera may have stopped at 30 minutes recording.
Okay.
And then I think that's its limit of runtime.
So we were going for a 40-minute game. So we're about there. All right. Check.
Check.
Detonate.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah, can you explain that power?
Yeah, so he blocked my check and did a check, but I still have a sacrifice bishop. I can sacrifice my bishop and destroy everything on one of its diagonals. So I essentially traded a bishop for a knight and a pawn. So yeah, the bishop's gone, the knight's gone, and the pawn is gone. It doesn't affect the king, because kings are unaffected by powers. But I'm hoping that that move will give me a leg up in this endgame. We'll see. Chess Heroes! It's Chess Heroes!
What is happening?
It's Chess Heroes. Okay. This is gonna end up in an effing draw, dude. Alright, yeah, I have to capture.
Hey, many great games have ended in draws.
A lot of great games have ended in draws. Why'd I do that? Because you're gonna recapture. That's why. Sorry. You still have a steamroll, right?
I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
I think I win.
You might win.
I think you steamroll, I capture.
Well, I don't have to steamroll.
Well, otherwise you have to scoot back to stop this pawn from running ahead. Oh, but you have the your queen can move fast as fuck, so that's actually not as much of a concern, is it?
Yeah, but you've got this part of the board covered.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't really know what to do. Chess Heroes, the most boring game ever invented.
It is a draw. It is a draw because I can't ever leave this undefended.
Don't you have a diagonal move?
No, each of them have done diagonal already.
Oh.
Yeah. I could sacrifice them to get an additional piece power.
Happens if
I never used that.
do this.
You can stalemate me. No, you can actually win. No, you can't. Well, sort of you can.
Wait, make sure the king goes to this. Black king goes to that square. Where are you going, Paul?
This one. The white one, yeah.
Where's your king going?
I know. He's not. Just gonna do that. And then you have to jump and capture. Yep. White King's one over, one to the left. Yep.
Chess Heroes, baby.
Chess Heroes.
Explain the power, please.
Oh,
Steamroll.
The steamroll.
My second
You're
one
right.
of the game.
The second and final steamroll. The thing is, I think this is still a draw.
It might just be a draw, although who knows with my king moving two spaces.
It's your move. I know, right? Because this is in theory, this is a draw, but with your king moving 2 spaces, it might not be. Let's see. Let's find out. Yeah, it's a draw.
Is it?
Yeah. Because now this is either you have to give up the pawn or I'm in stalemate. If you're protecting, if you go somewhere where you're protecting the pawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good game. All right. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm not that upset it ended in a draw. Like that was we used all of our powers, right? Except for I didn't even use my hero power, which was sacrificing the pawns.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully
For
you
other
were able to
powers.
see that powers can really turn the tide of the game. I think there are
Yeah.
many times where one of us had a winning position and
There were
lost
at least
it due to a power, and
There were at least 2 huge flips.
I think you know what you're doing. Maybe gave you some ideas for what you could do with your powers.
Yeah.
Things we missed.
So
I don't know. I have one thing to add, which
Yeah.
is just we haven't mentioned this, but we're also developing a notation for chess heroes based off of the algebraic chess notation, but including some additional things to indicate that powers have been used, so that games can be recreated. Because this is not a random game. I mean, everything can be recreated and done the exact same way by following the notation that we make. So people could look back through their games and, hopefully even down the line, have them be analyzed by a computer.
Mm-hmm. That would be awesome.
Do you have anything else to add, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's still watching at this point, join us on Discord. When we reach our goal, we're gonna post all the powers and heroes that we've come up with. So today you only got to see 2 heroes and 4 powers each, so 8 powers. We have our launch version of the game has 5 heroes and 16 powers so far. We might add more to that, but right now that's what's written into our vision for this Kickstarter. But when we release the full rules and the notation, we'd like to see you guys sharing your games on the Discord and how they played out. Especially if you feel like powers are underpowered or overpowered, need rebalancing. Me as someone who plays chess and plays games, I'm a firm believer in the game being as balanced as possible, meaning we don't want anyone to have an unfair advantage because they have a different king or a different power. Yeah. At the end of the day, we want it to be about your planning and your ability to predict what your opponent's going to do.
Yeah, and just like chess, chess doesn't have any moves, any openings that you can do that automatically win you the game, and that's a great thing. It's part of what makes chess such an enduring game, and we don't want to allow that either. So we're really open to feedback and thinking about what's going to make this game as balanced as possible. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out if that king moving 2 spaces is too powerful. I think it'd be interesting to analyze this endgame and see if, I mean, I'm not very good at endgame, so maybe I could have taken advantage of that more than I did. But, you know, whatever it is, we're really excited to make this and to interact with you guys and make this the best game it can be.
You could have won, by the way.
Well,
It's not a draw because of the double move.
you convinced me it was a draw. This video needed to end.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Yeah, we'll see you
Peace.
next
Thanks
time.
for watching.